look at verse 84 of the Surah of Hell. Again, we are always speaking based on Quranic verses. This is our topic today. This is our limit. Verse 84 of Surah Al-Kahf. We strengthened his power to govern the earth, meaning the world. It talks about Dhul Qarnayn. And we provided detailed knowledge leading to the cause of everything and means to reach everywhere. It means Zulkarnain was given the means to reach everywhere. It's interesting. Indeed, he followed the path of knowledge and science given to lead to that cause. So what exactly is the tool provided? Now we continue. We look at verse 86 of Surah Al-Kahf. Now let's figure out what the vehicle is. One day in the region where the sun sets in a dark, muddy spring. Where the sun sets, because there is more than one sun. We are only subject to the Milky Way sun. But apart from that, there are other suns. And in the region he went to, he sees a sun setting in a black hole. Well, at that time, this expression exists. But however, the black hole was identified in recent years. And again, according to a Quranic account, in the region where it sank into the black hole, he encountered a misguided community. In the region where the sun sets, the black hole region. Where is this? A region in space. How does it go? It goes with a vehicle. What kind of vehicle is this? We don't know. There is a vehicle. Now we continue. We said to him, O Dhul Qarnayn, if you wish, you can punish them as they deserve, or you can forgive and treat them kindly. So Zulkarnain is an authorized divine agent, and the authorized divine agent is moving with a vehicle, and he is going in space to a place where the sun sets and disappears into a black hole. Well, how else would he go but with a spacecraft? With a spacecraft, we don't know what it is. Now, is there anything to support it? We look at Kef 87. It also says, whoever does wrong, whoever oppresses, we will inflict the first punishment on them. So we intervene. This time, Zulkarnain also this time, okay, give the punishment, you give the penalty. But the real punishment is in the afterlife. They are all working together. We are working together with Zulkarnain because he is a divine agent now. In Kef 89, the Secretarian, then he turned to us, returned to another path. When he reached the place where the sun rises, this time he arrives at another place where the sun rises, and he encounters another community to whom we have not granted the knowledge to make protectors like a house and clothing to shield themselves from the sun.
Another community, the second group, now in Kef 91.
That's how it is. We knew very well the societies wherever Zulkarnain went and Zulkarnain's power, because we give everyone what they deserve. Now in Kef 92, he finds yet another new community. He encounters three communities. Now in Kef 94, they said the third community, the members of the community, O Dhul Qarnayn, the communities called Gog and Magog are causing terror and committing injustices here. If we give you taxes and money, can you build a protective barrier between us and them? Now let me speed things up a bit. He replies to him and says, prepare something. I will build a barrier, but you will help me, he says. What will we do? In Kef 96, he says, bring me sheets of iron. He says, bring iron sheets. He places iron sheets between two mountains, between two planets, between two large structures, and says to light the wood placed between them on fire and have the workers fan the flames. The iron sheets laid between the two round hill-like planets become red hot. And this time he says, bring tar. petrol, and my daughter pours petrol over the iron plates, creating steam. Now, this has been researched for centuries. Did Zulkarnain do this on earth? However, there is no such long barrier on earth. There are no long, large hills. There is no long barrier in the form of steam. And Zulkarnain builds a barrier on the form of steam between two planets to prevent the emergence of the anarchist group of beings, Yechuk and Mekuch. Zulkarnain, who travels with vehicles with spacecraft, does this.
Now, teacher, in the Quran, it is mentioned as two hills, but you interpret it as two planets because they are not on Earth, right? I understood correctly.
But why I will come to that now. In Surah Al-Kahf, the verse 97, Gog and Magog and their armies could neither scale nor penetrate the barrier formed by the iron sheets and the gas created by pouring tar. However, we move on to the Surah Al-Anbiya. From Surah Al-Kahf, the barriers in front of Gog and Magog, who will devastate the societies decided to be destroyed, were removed. Look now, where will this lead? And the destructive Hades uses the word Hades. Hades means a domed vehicle.
Flying saucer.
Hades, and they will attack from every direction, hill and dale. Whenever there is a society decided to be destroyed, then there is a great warning for us here. O earthlings, do not make mistakes that will bring you to the stage of destruction. Be united, be strong, do not be divided. That is why, starting from Adam to all the prophets, to each of them, first and foremost, repeatedly given. It says, apply the rule of Salat. Apply Salat. What does Salat mean? It means hold unity meetings. Be united and hold cooperation meetings. Do not be divided. Look, I am looking at the 31st verse of Mary, and wherever I am, he has made me specially protected. He has commanded me to perform prayer and charity as long as I live. To whom is this being said? He is telling Prophet Moses in the verse. He says to Prophet Moses, perform the prayer, give alms. In other words, be united. Because if you end up divided into enemy groups, you will stray onto the wrong path. Then you will reach a stage where you can overcome the barrier.
Now, teacher, I noted Yasin 42, I think. The Holy Quran says there are other planets there. So Almighty Allah, that's one. There are other planets, other life forms, there are other ships. The world is also a ship. There are also other ships where living beings reside. And now there is Gog and Magog. So when things on a planet do not go as Allah wishes, meaning that lineage or race, whether people in the world or on other planets, to punish them, then there is also Gog and Magog on such a planet, right?
Yes, so and they become a society that has gone astray. That society becomes one predominantly with negative energy. And when that society is predominantly negative energy, their vibrations and frequencies become low. Those with low frequencies then start to think unconsciously. They begin to ask for help. From whom? From the negative energy bearing Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog, they are also the group of devils. That is why they are also invited by the people of the society that has gone astray. Because the group we call devils starts to whisper when a negative ego awakens in people's consciousness, thoughts, and minds, but they cannot overcome the barrier as long as the society, the majority, does not go astray.
But unity, for example.
For example, why was the community of Noah destroyed? Because the majority strayed onto the wrong path. Why the name thing? The community of Hud, the community of Lot, the community of Hud, the other communities saying thing, all of them, the majority more than 2/3, because the majority went astray. And this division means the awakening of negative, harmful egos. Negative egos also invite devils. Gog and Magog are where the devil group is. Und es way spannende mo was more and as people of the world need to join hands. We should not form enemy groups and should focus on raising our positive energies. Otherwise, we too will become prey to the Yekuch and Mekuch as a world. So there is a warning there. That's why look at the thing too. In the 20th verse of Surah Al-Muzammil, there is an instruction for Prophet Muhammad to adhere to prayer in the 3rd surah. Previously, there was a warning to Prophet Moses in the Torah. At the same time, there is a salat warning for Jesus. Salat, therefore, during the time of Prophet Muhammad, when he said salat, 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 it meant unity, gather unity and group meetings, hold power meetings, and do this especially at times when the sun is not present. But when you gather, also study the Quran, and if the time is suitable for you, perform the prayer together in congregation. It seems that Salat has 3 stages. Collective unity meetings, prayer, and Quran study. But as time passed, with the Umayyads, Quran study was swept under the rug. The social solidarity meeting was swept under the rug and only prayer remained. Of the 3 activities of Salat, only prayer remained. Therefore, sit and stand at morning and evening times. Keep away from the Quran with whatever. Do not unite, but perform prayer. That became a burden. Okay, prayers will be performed, but it will be together. But along with it, there will be Quran study. The Quran will be learned. The rules we call religion in the Quran will be learned. Here is the devout person. It means someone who knows the firm rules in the Quran, the devout person. And the devout person is someone who knows, he embraces and understands these rules, reads them and reflects them in their life. That is what it means to be devout, to live according to those rules. Otherwise, it means learning the 440 definitive rules, not being misled by appearances. It means being in that effort. And that person is considered pious. Look where the matter is heading. Therefore, is there a UFO in the Torah? We solved it with Zulkarnain in the Quran, in the Torah, in the 1st chapter of Ezekiel in the Torah. And I look, and behold, a great cloud was coming from the north, constantly emitting fire. A cloud emitting fire was coming. There was a glow around it, and in the middle there seemed to be something shining like metal, something shining, and from its midst came 4 living creatures. And their appearance was like this. They also had a human likeness, and each had 4 faces. This is the expression in the Torah, the description of the flying saucer and those who use the flying saucer. Now in the Quran also. It says Shechere. Shechere, as heard from the Quran, Shechere also means lineage. So When it says do not approach this tree to Adam, it means do not approach this lineage. There is Ahmet who explains it this way. There is Serhat Ahmet. He also makes this explanation. Olgun, Aydoğu also make this explanation. I am saying the same thing.
In fact, I had compiled all of your explanations and made it into a video. Those interested can click above to watch it.
Exactly. So a lineage and the explanations about that lineage expanded and expanded. Nephilim, a race referred to as Nephilim. And there's also the expression that your women should not engage in sexual relation with them. This is what is referred to as the forbidden fruit.
Where is it, teacher? Where is the expression? Is it in the Quran? Nephilim.
The explanations made.
Then people interpreted it this way.
There are such interpretations, and they even said that the children born from the Nephilim were called the Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki were also linked to them. There are such explanations, but I think the degree of truth is speculative. Now, the 74th verse of the Surah Al-Khidr in the Quran says this. And we turned the city upside down. Additionally, we rained down upon them stones made of baked clay. It says that a society was rained upon with stones made of clay from the sky.
I wonder if these stones,
Bullets or weapons. So who throws these stones from the sky? They are thrown from somewhere. They remember something. Could these be spacecraft? And were those assigned to destroy that society perhaps aliens, officials from the Biz group? We don't know. Again, there is a verse about the Ababil birds. As you know, the third verse of the Surah Al-Fil. Your Lord sent against them flocks of Ababil birds. They hurled scorching stones upon the elephant army like large hailstones. Who could the so-called birds actually be spacecraft resembling birds? And the stones described as being sent like large hailstones, did they again do what the so-called Ababil birds did to the elephant army? We don't know if they were special weapons or projectiles sent from spacecraft. These are verses written in a way that people of that time would understand, symbolized like this. Gabayam, with our current knowledge, we say UFOs. With our current knowledge, we wonder if these are spacecraft, heaven, but of course we don't know for sure. The Quran expressed this only with symbols. Now in Yasin 28:29, and did we not send down an army from the sky upon his disbelieving people after the man, and we did not need to send it down? They were immediately wiped out by just a tremendous sound. What could this sound be? A nuclear bomb or a large, high-frequency, ultrasonic damaging sound? It destroys the society, and everyone collapses and dies. So what are these? These are symbolic expressions. It is indeed interesting. In the 37th verse of Surah Al-Isra, it says, do not walk on the earth with arrogance, because with this power you cannot pierce the earth, nor can you be as tall as the mountains. You can rise high. So what is this? Then there is negativity, right? If you work, strive, and research, you can even reach the sky. Research, strengthen yourself. Find something to prevent collapse. You can also pierce the ground. You can go underground. Do they have a ladder upon which they climb to listen to divine knowledge, as mentioned in the 38th verse of Surah? If there is such a thing, then let one of the listeners bring forth a clear proof of what they have learned. So you have ladders to the sky. It means if you also strive, there is a warning here, a guidance. Make an effort, work, research, do science. Determine a path for yourself to ascend to the sky. Find a method. It mentions a ladder there. If research is done on symbols and guides, meaning if the second article of the agreement is followed, then you can make the impossible of that time possible.